Well, we're sitting down with Virginia Edwards. We can call you Ginny, I assume, because everybody does. You're leaving EdWeek after basically a 28-year tenure, right?
That's right.
That's a lot of years.
That is a lot of years, and I've got to say they are some of the best years I could have imagined that brought my interests together in education policy, and then journalism and publishing, and the important work that journalists do to highlight what's going on and how to make things better.
So what does that mean? Does it mean, and you look back on the 30 years, that we still have the same issues, or do you see a big difference?
You can see a lot of improvement. NAEP, which is the nation's report card, has been around since the 70s, and there's been a lot of improvement in math and reading scores for all kids. High school, not so much, and we can talk about that as kind of an outlier issue, but a lot of improvement. And the achievement gap of less advantaged kids of color and white kids has actually narrowed a lot. And that gets really lost in the narrative, I think, about what's going on in public schools and with public education more generally.
Right, we hear this negative narrative that nothing's working, what are we going to do? And you don't really see it that way.
I don't. I am the first to say we've got challenges, but I think in general, it's important to affirm the progress we've made and the improvements and give people hope for what is possible, be a little more aspirational. I think the narrative has been one way too much of demonizing the whole enterprise of education and educators specifically, teachers specifically, and I just don't think it's called for, and I don't think it's helpful.
Where would you put your energy if you were tasked with fixing the education system?
That's, again, a good question. I think we started to talk about student achievement and student performance, and I do think that something about the high school experience needs a lot of attention, and a lot of people are paying attention to it. And included in that, and this isn't just for older kids, but is the idea of working on issues related to student engagement and motivation, social and emotional learning, issues related to the climate and culture of a school building or a classroom even. So I think good energy and effort is being paid to those kinds of issues that really put the focus of all these efforts on the ultimate purpose of it, which is the kid learning and is the kid engaged.
How have you managed to bring Education Week, which was a traditional print publication, into the 21st century?
When we started, it was like Gutenberg. We could have been, setting type and figuring out how to publish. It was a juggling act, to be sure, and took a lot of attention to kind of managing the organization through a big cultural shift and asking people to get hip or die if they would do it. But I think those of us who have been nimble and energetic and, creative enough, everybody here at EdWeek, to think about things differently and how to serve our audience differently, recognizes that you can still add a lot of value and maybe even more than you were doing it the old way. Cut.